Hey there, and welcome to the first Digital Lunch and Learn episode 1. This one is called On-Page Optimization, Ignore at Your Own Peril. And again, this is the Chris and Cary show, and we are local digital marketers, and we're going to help share some real-world information with you and hopefully help you grow your business. I got Cary Duke on the other screen here. Cary, how you doing?
Awesome, Chris. Glad to be here. Looking forward to it. This whole adventure is going to be kind of new for us, having these dialogues about how businesses can help their own lead gen. I think ultimately it's all about lead generation. Mm-hmm. And but before you can get the phone to ring, you got to set the foundation, right?
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, everybody talks about ranking high on Google, and that's kind of one part of it. And as we had discussed offline, before we got on here, on-page optimization is going to be more than just, your search engine optimization. It's going to come into some conversion as well, because, you can rank at the top of Google, but if your phone's not ringing, you might have something inherently wrong with your website and the layout. So today we're going to speak to that as well. So on that note, Cary, how about in your estimation, what do you think would be, starting at the most important part of on-page optimization in your eyes?
The single most important thing to me is actually putting a phone number on your website so that it can be seen. No, seriously. I see a lot of contractors, they put their phone number, halfway down the page, or, what we call above the fold. And above the fold is basically whatever device you're on, that as soon as your website pops up, your phone number is visible, and it should be the upper left or the upper right-hand side, and it should be very clear and as large as possible. And I think that's what we're talking about is, when you're setting a page up for conversion, which is basically, will your phone ring be based on what you're doing? I want to see that phone number large in life, up front, above the fold, as soon as the website loads.
Yep, absolutely. And I can, like you, I've seen and I've signed on a lot of clients and worked with a lot of people where that just kind of totally escaped the web designer, and the phone's buried at the bottom, or they said, oh, well, it's on the contact page. Everybody knows to click on the contact page. But and I know in some of the niches, emergency plumbing or HVAC or anything like that, the person's on their phone and they just they're looking for a phone number and somebody to talk to fast. They're not on there to navigate your website, read a lot about you, find where your phone number is.
They have a problem, wouldn't you say? And they're looking to resolve that problem as fast as possible. And so, the number one thing they're going to do after they have gone through the process of doing a search is they're looking for a phone number. Yep. So the easier that you can make the phone number available to them, the more likely you are to get the phone call. So the second most important thing after having that phone number up there at the top, left or right, is to have that phone number at the first end of your title, so that when Google shows your search or shows your site in the search results, then it becomes part of the title and visible there as well.
Yep.
And that way somebody might even call you from the search results and not even go to your website.
Right. And I know we both do a lot of like video marketing and stuff like that, and that's how we actually set up our videos, so that you can have videos that have like low view counts, yet you're actually going to be getting phone calls from it. I've seen phone calls coming through on these tracking numbers where the view count's been stuck at, say, 20. And yet I know it's coming from those videos because that's the only place that the phone number is at. So that is a huge, huge thing.
Yep. Yeah. So I think moving down the page, it's like, obviously, I don't pay as much attention to aesthetics, design and color and things like that, because I found that the more urgent your situation is, i.e. the problem that the prospect's trying to solve, the less important the aesthetics are. So if you're doing emergency HVAC, emergency plumbing, or window glass repair or anything like that, where the client really needs to get their problem resolved as fast as possible, aesthetics go down and urgency increases. Okay, so with that, the thing that you want to do on your page is let them know that you are available. You can handle whatever it is that they're trying to look for. So don't bury the lead, like they say in the newspaper business, don't bury the lead down in the column. Put it at the very top. So the first paragraph should very clearly explain what it is you do and who it is you do it for.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's the old saying of everything optimize above the fold. So as soon as a person hits your website, you have literally 1, maybe 2 seconds to capture their attention, and they want to know who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. And that really is super important, in especially like service type niches where if it's some sort of an emergency or something like that. Now, there are other niches where maybe the potential customer wants to be educated a bit more. And for those types of niches, aesthetics are maybe a bit more important. But, in the vein of, emergency repair, emergency HVAC, that sort of stuff, no, you need to have
pretty much any home services, those rules will apply. If you have a garage door spring that's sprung and you're locked in your garage, well, it becomes a little more urgent, right?
Yeah, you're not going to be sitting there reading about garage types and looking through pretty portfolios of past work, or you want to get out of your garage and get to work.
That's right. So okay. Moving down the page, what would you consider the next thing, Chris?
I mean, I like to go with having like a nice clean layout. You want to have not only a phone, but you also want to have some kind of contact opt-in kind of form, where they can, not everybody's comfortable calling in. Maybe they want to send you an email. So you definitely want to have a contact form, just name, email, phone number, and then maybe a quick blurb on what their issue is. Are they looking for emergency service? Are they looking for, maybe a quote, or, maybe they just have a quick question and they don't want to talk. So you definitely want to have some kind of lead capture like that.
I would say that I'm of mixed opinion about that. Okay, I know that it is very customary for people to have that type of contact form. If I'm a service provider, I think that I'll be chasing those people like I would be chasing a home advisor lead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have tentatively stuck their hand up. I'm maybe timidly interested in your services. But if you contact me, I'll probably screen your call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Email you back? I mean, I could do that all day long, right? Mm-hmm. You're never going to get all the information. You're always going to have to go to a phone call. So I guess in my opinion, if they want a contact, via email or something like that, I'm going to put that way back there in that contact us area and leave it at that. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily want that on the front page. I want them to have basically, when they hit the front page, one option: call me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah, and yeah, a lot of it, with marketing or any kind of marketing medium, you always want to test and track, because there are going to be some that maybe the email lead might be a better lead than the phone lead, and there are other ones where, again, we go back to the emergency services one. You don't necessarily need a contact form on one of those because it's an emergency. They're not looking to hope you get back to them via email in an hour or two.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly the way to explain it, is that the longer your sales cycle is, the more likely you need to have that email form.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if it's a short sales cycle, like you have a problem today, you need it fixed today, the email is not going to really do you any good. It's not going to generate any business for you. On the other hand, if your sales cycle is large, or your price is large, like you're doing a whole home remodel or kitchen remodel, or maybe you're doing a full home window installation, those types of services lend themselves more to the email communication.
I was just writing down a few notes before I go back and timestamp the video. Yeah, and I'd say Yeah, that's exactly right. Now, the next part, and this is one that I've heard, because depending on what as a marketer, what your specialty is. If you're like a video marketer, then you think video is the only way to go. If you're an SEO guy, you think SEO is the only way to go. But one of the things I like to add on some of my sites are actual videos, but not so much in the sense of like long drawn out productions, but more of a like a short 30-second blurb explaining who you are, what you do, and how to get a hold of you. Similar to like you see online, like with the a lot of those lawyer commercials, like call a mesothelioma lawyer now, and it's a 30-second slot, and it just says boom, boom, boom. Here's a number. Give us a call. Because there are some people out there that they are triggered off video. There are others that are triggered off reading. So that way you kind of strike the happy medium. You're not bogging down the experience too much and putting a lot more steps in between you and the phone call, but it gives you another chance to get your marketing message in front of them fast.
I agree with that. I like I like short, hard hitting videos that kind of let the viewer know, yes, you're in the right place. Yes, we are the people that can fix it, and here's how to reach us.
Yep. And that's
I think that's the essence of the marketing message for a service business.
Yeah, at the end of the day, as the viewers will find out, Cary and myself, we believe in direct response marketing. None of this kind of dancing around. We're going to educate you. But no, it's we're driving traffic to a certain point, and we want a certain result and a certain action taken. Boom, boom, boom. Because you can track that, and then you can track your return on investment and determine if your marketing campaigns are actually successful or not. So the more that you can sit there and get these, black and white transactions out of the way, the better off you're going to be. And that's how we kind of work with our web design and on-page optimization.
Well, exactly, which leads to the theme of your homepage. Your homepage should be about the main thing that your business does, not every single thing that you do. We have a services page for that, but your homepage should be the main thing, the most profitable thing that your business actually does. Okay, and if you're like in the air conditioning business, well, if you do tune-ups and you focus on tune-ups, guess what Google's going to think? They're going to think that your page is about tune-ups. Well, we all know you don't want tune-ups. We all know that you would much rather have the emergency repair or the full system installation, the replacement. And so those are the types of things that you should be focusing on. So the actual theme of your page is important as well. So like you don't want to tell everybody all the 50 things that you do in the plumbing niche. You only want to tell them that you do these major repairs and say water heater replacements.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now you can reserve all of those other items for your service page, and then you go into all of those in detail over there, or have other additional pages for each of those services. But your home page, which is what we're talking about specifically, your on page should be themed towards one, maybe two different services that are your most profitable.
Right. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's about targeting. And what you just mentioned reminded me of a story with some plumbing lead generation I was doing, where I was showing up for all kinds of terms like plumbing, and we'll just say it was plumbing Boston. And it was a very kind of, plumbers and plumbing is kind of a broad term. They could be needing anything from, drain clog it, fixing a drain clog, maybe their toilet's backed up or something like that. Or heck, it could have been some kid doing research papers. Who knows? It's so broad that, yeah, even though you rank #1, you get a bunch of traffic, it doesn't convert, and it's, you're going to get a bunch of garbage. So what you're better off doing is actually theming these things to your highest profit, product or service, and then actually optimizing these pages for those terms. So you're not getting a lot of the tire kickers or a lot of the stuff you don't want to do. I have several plumbing clients that they don't want to deal with toilets. They just want to do hot water heaters. So you know what? We don't rank a site for any of those terms. And if he does get a call for that, he'll sub it out to somebody else. So the on-page optimization, whether it's your homepage or any of the other inner pages, is all about kind of theming it out and going, so you attract the customers and the clients that you want to work with, not just kind of everybody and generalize. The generalist, it doesn't work out as well in the long run.
Well, From a business standpoint, it may be fine to do all of those things, but from a website standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, I think you need to be a little bit more specific about who your target is. And like if you as a business owner know who your best client is, what they look like, where they live, and all of those things that we would take a look at, then you're going to be able to put that into your website design. And so that you're focused on that specific type of client, and then Google will also pick that up. That okay, well, these guys don't. In your case, your example there, they don't do toilets, so there's no reason for us to show this site in anything that has to do with toilet repair or installation or anything else in Boston, because it is not the best result. And that's what Google's looking for: is what is the best result for our customer, Google's customer, who is the searcher. And so, the trick is that, you need to figure out what that guy looks like, what your best service is, meld those two together and give that content to Google so Google can say, hey, you are the best result.
Yep, absolutely. It's all about relevancy.
Not to use fancy language, but sure.
That's right. All right, so we've kind of gone from like a top-down kind of approach. We kind of hit the above the phone, having your phone number, lead capture, contact form, maybe a video. Now, as you're going down the page, as you're envisioning going down the page, what kind of other optimizations do you like to include in your designs or in your site?
Well, at the very bottom of the page, there's several things that I like to incorporate. And this is one of the most critical things that most every business owner misses when they build their website. And that is having a consistent name, address, and phone number built into the footer of the site. If you don't do that, you're going to miss an opportunity to tell Google, to tell Yahoo, to tell Bing that this is who you are, so that they can take that information and cross-reference it with everything else that is about you on the web. So that would be the first set of information. We call that the N.A.P, and it's just the name, address, phone number, but you have to be critically consistent with that information on everything you do regarding your digital marketing. So the second thing I would do at the footer is I would personally put in a map from Google. Okay, here's my location. And if you don't want your location, because let's say you're a solo operator and you work out of the house, you don't want anybody to know that, well, that's fine. Still use a Google map embedded in your website of your service area. And then manually put a pin in, to where your center of service is.
Yeah, exactly. Put it right in the city center, and you pretty much got all your bases covered.
Yeah, and that, you need to have that as another indicator to Google that your site is about this specific geographic location. Right, so right. I would have that, and then I might have some generic information, like I don't know, phone, not your hours, or just information like that, just generic stuff.
Yeah, you can have like welcome to so-and-so HVAC services below is a broad bulleted list of what we do.
Yeah,
who we are. Learn on our history, about us pages. Yes. I would say if I had to pick the most critical, you just hit the second one. The first one is obviously the title, how you title out your page, your home page. So you want to include 1 to 2 keywords. And then the second most crucial part is that name, address, and phone number. And this is, in Google's eyes, those are two of the most biggest critical factors that Google uses to place you, on the search engines. If you get those wrong, if you get the name, address, and phone number wrong, or it's not, the same across multiple properties, then you're probably not going to show up in the Google My Business listings, which a lot of business is driven through that.
Yeah, and it's usually in the small details of your name or your address. Okay, even your phone number. You should have one consistent way that you do your phone number. And I I would not recommend using the parentheses around the area code. I'd use dashes between the sets of numbers. But your name, the issues come up with name is, are you incorporated? Do you go INC? Do you go INC with a period?
Mm-hmm.
You know, street names. Is it first with a number ST, or is it spelled out FIRST? Is it avenue, AVE or AVENUE? So all those little things. Suite numbers. Do you use a comma before the suite number? Do you spell out suite, or is it STE? You know, all those little things matter so much when you're trying to define what your name, address, phone number is going to be all across the web.
Right. And that's the thing. If you get it wrong on, say, Google, and like when you first upload it and you first get it found, and then it goes out and these other kind of lower tier directories start picking it up and they're showing the wrong address, and then you come back in later into Google and fix it, then basically Google sees two conflicting name, address, and phone numbers, or two conflicting NAPs. So what happens is they're like, well, you know what, are these guys trying to spam us? Maybe they're out of business. Who knows? Because, you know, if a business is, you know, still alive and kicking, they're going to work to have all this stuff, you know, the same. So they'll actually kind of, you know, they'll give preference to the person that actually has everything in place and correct. So
yeah, the Google confusion penalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And some people call it a you know, stupid tax or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's you got to make sure that that's there and your titles are spot on for what you want to do. And those right there are huge to getting you up to the top. Some of the other things we spoke about were more from a conversion standpoint. Like once the visitor gets there, how do you convert them? So I'm trying to think. Can you think of anything else that, you know, off the top of your head that you would?
There's definitely one thing, but I have to say, in 15 years of doing this digital marketing online, helping businesses and all that, I've never heard of the stupid tax. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really big one in like the paid advertisement and AdWords, which is, we can talk about that on another one. But yeah, if you're making a stupid mistake, Google will penalize you for it. And they won't tell you what it is. That's the other kicker. They don't even really clearly tell you what you're doing wrong. So
oh, that's for sure. All right. So the one thing that we didn't mention as far as on-page optimization, the thing that you really need to know is that you need to take your or place an H1 tag on your site. The H1 tag is basically it's a communication device between your website and the search engines, letting them know that this page is about X topic. Mm-hmm. So like if you're a plumber in Boston, your H1 had better say something about plumbing in Boston.
Yeah. And the analogy I've always used is it's kind of like a book. It's like a chapter. And, you know, when you're reading through a book, you're flipping through and then you come to a chapter, it has the title, which is kind of, you know, depending on the type of book, will give you kind of a broad idea of what the rest of that chapter is about. That's the analogy I always try to give out to customers. Like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, so, the title of the website, and then the H1 is the chapter of the or is the title of the chapter.
Yeah, and you get that stuff right, and then it kind of sprinkles down from there. But if you get, so basically that's the big three. That if you get those three right, you're moving pretty much in the right direction as far as, you know, having your on-page set and then moving up in the search engines. It may not get you to #1, but it's going to get you probably ahead of most of your competition.
Well, that's the thing, is like, you know, if you're viewing this and you're wondering if we're telling you the truth or not, all you have to do is go to page 1 of Google and see the types of sites that are on page 1, then go to page 2, see the types of sites that are on page 2, 3, and 4. Mm-hmm. And I will guarantee you that the majority of sites on page 1 will have all of these factors that we just spoke about. They'll have them correctly. You go to page 2, 3, and beyond, and they will not have those things correct.
Right. Or if it appears they have it correct and they're in position on page 5 through 10, they probably got a penalty. If they're past page 10, they definitely got a penalty. If all these factors look like they're in place, they probably did some shady backlinking.
That's very true.
Yep.
That's very true. You know, so from an on-page standpoint, you know, aesthetics aside, I think those are the main things. I mean, we didn't talk about how much content should be on the page. I am a believer that you should have somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 words, 1,500 to 2,000, preferably. And the reason for that is that you have to have some method to communicate to Google what you're about. And they read the words on the page, so why not give them the right words?
Yeah.
Instead of, and that's what optimization is really about. It's not about guesswork, and it's not necessarily about backlinking. It's about communicating to Google who you are, where you do the thing you do, and when. You know, what is it you do, and who do you do it for? Yep. And so that's what that content is for. But again, your first paragraph should be very specific. Everything above the fold should have a purpose of making a visitor convert into a prospect.
Right.
And then
like your sales copy, kind of.
Yeah, and then below the fold, you can go into more in-depth explanations about other things. But that information above the fold should be very, very targeted to what you want to have happen.
Right. The above the fold kind of catches the skimmers that are in a hurry. You just want to be connected. The stuff below the fold, maybe the person's doing a bit of diligence to find out more about you and who you are, what you do. As far as numbers, like lengthwise and stuff, I'm kind of a minimum effective dose kind of guy. So a lot of times what I'll do, and you can do this even with your own site, is see who's it ranking in positions 1, 2, or 3, and kind of analyze their content. Do they have the 1,000 count? Maybe they only have 300. So maybe if you come in with 400 word count or 400, 400 count, then you may actually pop above. Now, just kind of follow the leader. And another thing you can do is look outside of your market. If you're in Boston, maybe look at Dallas and see what the #1 HVAC guy down in Dallas is doing, because it's a slightly bigger market. And then you can kind of mimic what they're doing, and then boom, you bring it to Boston.
Yeah, you got to be careful of that, because the geographic rankings, they don't. Google doesn't do everything equally across the country. So what they do in San Jose may be different than what they do in Boston. And if you copy what they do in San Jose, it may not work for you in Boston.
No, I'm not saying don't copy them. No, do not copy them. But look at them for ideas.
Copy the idea. But that's still relevant. It's like, we get in these discussions all the time with other professional marketers, and there's a disagreement. They believe that one thing happens all the way across the board, i.e., you can take a video and rank it on page 1 for any term. Well, that's simply not true. Okay, there are certain markets that you cannot rank a video on page 1 in the same industry. Then you can go and say, well, in the same geographic location where you can rank videos on page 1, there may be some terms they just will not allow you to put a video on page 1, no matter what you do.
Right.
And so these are types of the arguments that happen between professional marketers. Now, these actually happen because these marketers haven't even tried to do these things in enough spots to be able to have the data to argue with.
Right. And that's the thing. Not only are markets different for HVAC to HVAC, but the same recipe is not going to work for HVAC to, say, a painter, or say a chimney repair guy, or a roofer. Within each market and within each niche, they're going to have kind of their own set of ranking criteria, I guess.
Yes, but let's be very clear. The title, the H1, the above the fold, the phone number, the N.A.P, the map, all of those things are exclusively across the board.
Yeah, that's universal. That is universal. Content-wise, like lengthwise and some of that other stuff, yeah, that's where you want to look, see what the leader's doing. And there's an old saying, find out what the leader's doing, do 5% better, and you're bound to beat them. So, but yeah, I mean, it's look at what other people are doing, and then try to take what's useful and incorporate it, and then dispose of what's not.
Yeah, and then if you're getting visitors and you're not getting conversions, now it's really time to take a look at maybe some of the language, maybe some of the colors, maybe some of the photos, things like that may be putting people off.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think those are kind of the bigger points is what I look at as far as when I'm doing the optimization. I don't really have much else. You know,
Well,
I guess there's one more thing is the offer. You know, what kind of offer are you providing? You know, is it, you know, you want to have it compelling, you know, it's not, you know, maybe it's not just, you know, a 10% off or this, that, or the other thing, you know, try to come up with a compelling offer that makes the visitor want to call you and choose you from the other guys. If everybody else is doing a $25 off, you know, a service, maybe you want to do something a little bit different, you know, to kind of stand out from the crowd, because you don't want to be a Me Too type company in order to stand out and, you know, leverage this website that you have.
That's going to get into the whole idea of what does your copy say? You know, is it really a conversion oriented copy, or is it the standard boilerplate language? And when I say standard boilerplate language, I'm thinking of the types of language that Yellow Pages would use if they came out and did a video for you. Well, we've been in business since 1974, serving the lower Greenville area.
Yeah.
It's boring. It doesn't do anything for the viewer, the reader. It's not compelling. And if you contrast that with somebody who's actually using a unique selling message, then you're going to be left holding your hands out saying, what happened? And, you know, a unique selling message is part of that offer. But, you know, I think Dan Kennedy says it best. You know, it's like, you know, why should I do business with you above and beyond any other option I may have? Mm-hmm. And if you can't answer that question succinctly, either in your website, you know, the language that you're using or specific offer, then that's something that you should really focus on. That unique selling message, or the unique, you know, selling proposition, however you want to, you know, call it, is pretty important in terms of making you unique in a service business that most consumers are going to say there's no difference in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. It's look, because I mean, how many times did you see websites where they say, we believe customer service. We want to make our customers happy. But that's our belief. Well, I hope it is. I mean, but everybody's saying that. So
that's what we would call a given. You don't a unique selling message is not based on a given. You know, one of the ads that I really love centers around the whole diamond business. Okay. In virtually every diamond commercial, what they're telling you is that they have the best diamonds at the lowest prices and they give you the best service. Well, if everybody's got the exact same message, isn't that something wrong? Isn't there a problem? How can everybody have the best prices and the best quality and also give the best service? It cannot be true. They're all saying the same thing, so therefore it must not be worth anything. And so if you're a service company, you follow everybody else. You know, the big guy in town, you know, his message, you should not have the same message as him. He's got more staff, more money, more advertising, and everything else. And if you're a solo operator or you're a smaller company, then your benefit, the thing that is different about you, better be something that the big guy can't do.
Absolutely. And honestly, a real good way to look at it is, you know, kind of remove yourself from your market and then look at your offer and look at the other offers and say, would I buy that? Would I pay money for that? And be honest with it, not just because you're the service provider, but like, look at your offer. What are you offering? And say, you know what, this guy kind of stands out ahead or apart from that guy. And if none of them stand out, then you need to go back to the drawing board, dig into your market and, you know, dig into like review sites and find out what the market's complaining about, and then position yourself against all those complaints. And then you can get a USP or unique selling proposition that's worth something. And that's how you combat the bigger companies, because they're not going to do any of that stuff. You know, maybe you have to be faster. Maybe you have to communicate better. Maybe you have to have a better guarantee, or, you know, but if you dig through these customer complaints, you're going to find out what your market's complaining about, and you just position against it.
All right. Well, let's save that conversation.
That's a whole other one.
But the idea is that that you should have some type of unique selling message in your offer, or have a decent offer that people want to use on your page. I think the last thing that we would talk about with on-page optimization for your website is a little bit more technical, but Google and Yahoo and Bing have developed this thing called Schema. And if you guys want to know what that is, it's schema.org, schema.org. Basically, what this is a language that they've all agreed upon, because the search engines don't really agree on anything except this. And this language is what they've agreed on to be able to have your website communicate with those search engines in telling them about your website and additional information. And so, you know, I don't want to get into the details of Schema, but if you're interested in getting technical about how to have your website talk to the search engines, then you need to look up schema.org and you know, start incorporating some of that language in your website build. Yeah,
basically it's just a machine language that they all recognize. It's nothing that if you look at it as a human, you're not even going to know what, you know, really what the heck it's trying to communicate. But it's definitely, especially in this day and age now, where it can be a difference maker in your market, because if you go around and, you know, there's different schema tests that you can do out there. Just Google it, put your competitors in there and see if they have Schema on their site. If they don't and you do, that's going to give you a bit of a leg up in the rankings. So Schema is a big one. And as you were talking about that, I forgot about another big one. Mobile ready. You want to have your website.
God, how did we forget that?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, you know, people calling you on the phone. You got to have a mobile ready website. Plain and simple.
Yeah, and not necessarily a mobile website, but a mobile optimized website, one that will reconfigure itself no matter the size of the display that somebody's actually looking at it on, whether it's laptop, desktop, 24-inch screen, you know, the size of your phone, whatever. Yeah, I can't believe we missed that one.
I know, dude. I was like,
that's one of those things that's so obvious that we don't even think about anymore.
See, this is why you got to tune in till the end, because, you know, we don't script this stuff. This is literally just two guys that have a ton of experience online, and we're kind of spitballing, just kind of coming up with these are nuggets that you're not going to hear anywhere else. Your local web designer they don't usually design with consideration for ranking, and vice versa. Ranking people don't necessarily, you know, do SEO optimization with conversion in mind. And you have two guys right now that this is pretty much all we think about and do for our clients. So.
Well, I think that's because the main way I make my money, Chris, is through lead generation. Mm-hmm. And so basically I'm building my own sites and I'm making sure they convert. Mm-hmm. Okay. So a web designer only builds the sites. He doesn't, after he's done, he ships them off, he's done. And the SEO guy typically, you know, the guy who ranks them, he typically has nothing to do with the building of the site. He just takes whatever you have and says, okay, well, I'll go rank it. Mm-hmm. But I know that if you miss out on either side of that equation, you're either making the ranking incredibly hard, or you're going to get ranked and not be able to make any sales.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's how I work with my clients. I take them from, you know, I work with them from basically the customer inception till, you know, even on the back end, and some of them I help with their closing. Because as I say, there's no sense in ranking number one if your website's not converting. You know, it's pointless. You're throwing money down.
Unless you're interested only in branding.
Yeah, unless it's a branding exercise. But even then, I mean, why would you want to do that? The whole point of business is to make money.
You have a massive ego, my friend.
Yeah. It's been surprisingly, me and you have spoken about this before. I have had clients where that's all they cared about. And I'm like, that's not going to make you any money, you know? Like, I don't care. So-and-so ranks. I want to rank for that.
That's right.
Knock your socks off.
I think that's a good place to end it. I think we beat the on-page optimization to death.
Yeah.
So next time we're going to talk about what?
We have on the next one, foundational footprint. And this is, consider this kind of off page. This is stuff satellite or, external to your website.
Okay. I think that's a great topic that if you have a website, then the second thing you need to do is get these things, these foundational things taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And to anybody out there that's watching this, if any of these topics you want us to expand on, just shoot us an email at the Chris and Cary show at gmail.com, or leave a comment and say, hey, can you guys go into this a bit more? And I'm also going to go through, and I've been writing down, time stamping the different topics. So you can just look in the description, and each one will have a bullet statement of the time, what we're talking about. And if you click the link, it should take you right to that point in the Hangout.
Awesome.
So on that note, Cary, thank you for hopping on here. This was our first one out of the gate, and it's kind of fun. And, we'll work the kinks out over time, but hopefully we, provided some value to you guys out there. You have any parting thoughts, Cary?
No, this has been great. I look forward to more questions and interaction down the road as we build our audience. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk soon.